Welcome to The Dream Show, where each episode I sit down with someone just like you
I'm in a current phase of pushing myself to do things.
to decode the meaning behind your dreams and explore their connection with trauma, healing, and the subconscious mind.
I do like to watch and see where the dream takes me.
My name is Jesse Lyon, your host, a licensed counselor, certified trauma hypnotherapist, and a dream interpreter. So whether it's a nightmare,
I don't know why, but I knew that he was talking about me. And he comes storming up to the door. And I remember him shouting, "Where is my son?"
a bizarre scene, or something too weird to even describe,
It was so traumatic for me, literally, I have blocked all but this memory.
we dive in and learn to listen to the messages that your mind is trying to tell you. Let's jump into it. Welcome back to another edition, another episode of The Dream Show. And today I'm joined by Carmen. Carmen, thanks so much for being here. We're going to talk about your dreams. We're going to see what your mind is trying to tell you while you sleep and get some answers. And in the meantime, show others just how important dreams are and how our mind tries to help us every night when we sleep. But sometimes we just miss the message.
Thanks,
Welcome to the show,
Jesse,
Carmen.
and thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to be here too. We haven't talked about your dreams at all. I'm meeting you for the first time today, just as if like you were a client walking through my door and having a seat on my couch. So this is going to be as close to the real thing as we can, which is the point of the show. So maybe some jitters, maybe some nerves about what the hell we're doing here, but I'll guide you through the whole thing. I would love if you feel comfortable sharing a little bit, like about yourself, like maybe generally how old, do you have any kids, do you have a family, or like what part of the world are you in the US or some other country, just so I can kind of understand. There's so many parts of our dreams that are related to like the culture that we live in, so I'd love to get kind of an understanding of sort of who you are and where you come
Sure.
from. Would you mind sharing?
So I'm 37 and I live in Kamloops, British Columbia. I am married and we have one rambunctious little cat. She just turned 2, but she's totally a princess.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
She
it.
was named after a supervillain, so she lives up to her name. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I named my cats after some characters from movies and TV shows.
Do
That's
they live
awesome.
up to their name?
Cool. They really do. They really do. One is named Asuna, which is a princess from an anime, and the other one's name is Miko from, Disney's Pocahontas. The raccoon that's always trying to run around and steal all the food. And I tell you what, she does. She does love her snacks. She's always fighting her sister for the snack bowl. So yeah, I would say they both do very much live
Nice.
up to their names.
Yeah, our cat's name is Sylvie. She's
Yeah, it's pretty great.
named after the female Loki. So she's the princess of mischief.
That's so great. Yes, she is the princess of mischief. Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, so Carmen, how did you get interested in dream work? Like, how did you find my page? Have you been like a follower for long, or do you do other things with your dreams outside of just my content on social
I've been
media?
into dream interpretation for quite some time now, and like I've read some books on it, like not too heavily, but like just basic dream interpretation books to
Mm.
like get the meaning of what's could be behind the dreams that I have. Um, I have been following you for a little while now, and I just seen some of your videos through like Reels, and I've seen some of your lives, and yeah, just wanted to reach out, and here we are.
And here we are. Oh man, that means the world. Have you found? I'm so curious. Have you found those books on dream interpretation helpful at all, or what's kind of your experience trying to dabble through the world of dreams, just as kind of like an audience member?
Well, the book that I've read specifically, it's got like 10,000 dreams in it, and it's just like you find like
Whoa.
something that's in your dream that you want meaning, and it kind of just gives you like a paragraph on like what it could mean. So I haven't like gone too deeply into
Hmm. How is that for you?
it.
Yeah, is that
Maybe.
helpful for you? Yeah, has it led you to any personal insights, or is it like, well, that's cool, it's another way to think about it, but I'm still
Yeah,
left
more
clueless.
more
Like
so
I don't know,
that,
what's that like?
where it's like, okay, that could mean something that could be helpful, but maybe not.
Maybe not, maybe not. Well, hopefully we get some actual answers today, because that's my field of study and like what I'm passionate about. So we'll try and get as specific as your brain will give me, and
Okay.
we'll go from there. Um, as we get into these specific dreams for you, what are your dreams like? Are you ever lucid in your dreams? Maybe that's a new term for you. Are they very visual? Do you feel a lot of emotional sensations? Could you give me kind of an idea of sort of your dream personality, I
Sure.
guess is what I'm asking.
I feel like I'm a pretty vivid dreamer. Um, I don't know if lucid
Hmm.
is the better term for it. All I know is I can remember my dreams pretty well. And like if I know someone in the dream or like
Nice.
see other people in my dream, I can pinpoint who it is, or I remember like what they looked like and
Okay.
what they sounded like in my dream. Um, and being able to like
Hmm.
feel sensations while I'm dreaming.
Okay, so yeah, pretty vivid,
Yeah.
pretty intense dreamer. Um, so clarification then, lucid dreaming. When I say that, the way that we think about that term scientifically, because there's kind of like the astral projection, metaphysical, spiritual side of TikTok that will talk about lucid dreaming, but I'm more of the scientific side, like studying it from a research perspective, and so for research purposes, wonderful sleep and dream research clinic actually out in Hawaii, started by Dr. Stephen LaBerge, who's also a member of the International Association for the Study of Dreams, which I'm a member of. And so he was the first to really put the definition to what lucid dreaming is. And he defined it for study purposes as anytime that you're aware of a dream while you're dreaming. So you don't have to have control. It's not necessarily because it's vivid. It's just anytime during the dream that you're like, wait a minute, this is a dream. Does that ever happen
I
to you?
don't think so. For the most part, I just wake up
Okay,
from a
okay.
dream
Yeah,
and
some
I'm like, okay, that was a lot. Or like I
whoa,
really
that was
felt
wild.
that. Mhm.
Mm, yeah, okay, okay. So not necessarily lucid, but intense. How often in a week, a general week, how many times do you wake up remembering your
Um,
dream?
maybe like one, two, three. Yeah.
It's great. Okay. All right, yeah, yeah. Right on then. Right on. All right. Well, let's jump into it then. So, for you, Carmen, what dream do you have for us to kind of work through today? Is this a recent dream or a long
Uh,
time ago
I
dream?
have a long time ago dream for you, like one that I had a couple years ago. Um, it- yeah,
Okay. You want to start there?
it was about,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. I'm still ready.
It was a dream where I'm like running from some people and or like I'm trapped
Hmm.
somewhere and they shoot me and I can feel being shot, but I'm not dying. And sometimes it's a shot right
Whoa.
in the head, sometimes it's a shot in the chest. And then I can feel like while I'm sleeping, it feels like I have a rush or like a sensation like run through me. Yeah, almost like a burst of energy. I don't know how else to explain that.
Yeah. 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 How else would you explain it? I mean, I think you did a great job. So, I mean, the way that you're saying it sounds like this dream has happened several times, because, like, sometimes I'm shot in the head, sometimes
Mhm.
somewhere else in the torso. So, a couple years ago, how often did you have this dream? I mean, it was more than once
I
then.
was having it was a reoccurring dream, I guess you could say, at that time.
Yeah, yeah. Um, like, like a lot, or I mean, ballpark
A few
number
times a
even?
week over like
A few
a
times a
few
week.
months
Ooh,
period. Yeah.
wow. Your brain
Yeah.
was really trying to tell you something. Yeah. Well, usually when people have reoccurring dreams or even a period of time where a dream is repeated, it's usually a sign that the mind is trying to share something or process something that it hasn't solved yet. We get this from the work, like my clinical work with trauma. One of the very first symptoms of PTSD are the post traumatic nightmares. And those look a very specific way. There's some markers we can look at for the ways that we know that this is a post traumatic nightmare. And one of them are that trauma is repeated in the dream many times. Oftentimes they'll have it like every time they go to sleep, and that's why people with PTSD will avoid going to sleep because they don't want to experience it again. And what the brain's trying to do is not trying to be a jerk. It's trying to be like, this is a really big deal, and we got to process this. And so it's trying to process, but sometimes it can get stuck. And so, kind of my thought with you then would be, well, I bet there was something going on about a year and a half ago in your life that you were struggling to kind of process that was kind of stuck. Um, yeah. Is that already some things coming to your mind about like, oh yeah, year and a half ago, I was going through some stuff.
Yes, definitely. Just a little bit of stress, maybe.
Yeah, some stressful stuff. Well, yeah, I imagine it wasn't a positive feeling. No, not a positive feeling. Okay, well, so is there anything else to the dream? I mean, pretty straightforward. I'm kind of holding myself back from just being like, oh my gosh, this is, there it is. It's obvious. But was there anything else about like the context of like where you were trapped? Was it modern day? Was it your home? Who were the people that were chasing after you? Did you know? Was it just generally they were bad guys? Were they shadow figures? I'll let you take it from there. Any other details that you can recall from
Yeah, I
that time in those
remember
dreams?
these dreams like always happening in the day, and I was like
Okay.
trapped or even abducted, and they were always bad guys, and they were kind of like torture
Ooh.
and then shoot, kind of like they would be like, hey, we're gonna do
Okay.
this, or like it's coming, this is happening, this is gonna happen whether you like it or not, and then they would do it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then they would do it. Did it get pretty graphic during those like torture parts, like, or did you not necessarily dream about or experience those pieces?
Like I remember like in some of the dreams like trying to get away, running away, and then in some being like tied up and like held captive and not, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Did it ever get to the torture piece, or was it just more that sensation or that idea of being held captive against your will?
Um, no, I don't think it ever got to the torture part. Like they would just be saying things like, I'm gonna
Okay.
do this, I'm gonna shoot you, here I go, it's happening. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
almost leading up to it. Could you tell from those conversations you had with those dream characters, like, well, most of the time when you kidnap somebody, you don't really tell them what's coming next. Like, did they want to instill fear in you? They want to make you like spooked, or
I
why
don't
would they tell
know.
you that?
Yeah.
Don't know.
But
Mm,
it's on like they were
yeah.
having fun.
Okay. There was a level of enjoyment to it. They enjoyed your experience of
Yes.
being powerless. Yeah, that checks out. That checks out. Well, so here's some thoughts. I mean, pretty short, straightforward dream. There's a couple pieces. Let's pick them out. The very first one is it's you, right? So this is related to you, and then you're captive, right? Being captive, there's a bunch of symbols that can go with that, like being held hostage, being tortured, being kidnapped. They're all kind of in this genre of, like you mentioned, powerlessness. And so sometimes there are periods of our life where we'll feel powerless. We'll feel unable to affect the change that we want to experience in our lives. And so some of our like personal autonomy or power is robbed from us, and our mind will often demonstrate that in a very literal way, like being kidnapped, being tied up, being held hostage. Kind of the cultural verbal metaphor of my hands are tied, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like I want to do something else, but I can't do something else, so my hands are tied. So literal representation of that in the dream. But then you run away. So like, do you escape and then run away, or where does the running part come in sort of the dream narrative?
Like specifically, there was one dream where we were like at like a farm area. It was like an acreage and there was like a woods, like a forest area. And the house that I was being captive in was like old and decrepit and like falling apart.
That's very helpful.
Almost kind of reminds me of one of my grandparents' old farmhouses and their land. And I haven't had grandparents for a long time, so.
All right. Perhaps we'll revisit that in a moment. Okay, so you kind of escape and then you're running away.
Running like circles like around the house and around the land just to get away from these people who are essentially trying to kill me.
Yeah. Okay, that's very helpful too. So you're not like effectively escaping. You get sort of free from whatever bondage there is, and then you're running away, but it's in the same location. So you're not ever like escaping away. You're just kind of running in circles, hiding here, hiding there. So it's almost a repeat of that same powerlessness. I'm kind of away, but I'm not really free.
Yeah.
Am I getting it? Yeah. Okay. So there's this expression of I'm powerless to make the change in my life that I want to make. And then the running away, very classic. So I talk about it all the time. It's avoidance. Typically, I'm avoiding some kind of situation or problem in my life. And then you compound on top of that. So I'm powerless. And my only resource to try and deal with this issue in my life is to run away from it or to try and ignore it and avoid it. And it's in the context of this decrepit house. But there's two pieces you said that are so crucial. It was on a farm, which is a place, farms are great symbols, positive symbol of fertility and opportunity. You plant a seed and it flourishes and blooms. So there's this context of this is supposed to be a fertile place for me to grow into the person I'm supposed to be. But it's subverted. It's sort of twisted. And then I'm in specifically this house that's falling apart. Houses are a classic symbol for your mind. I think it was Carl Jung, I hope I'm not misquoting that talked about sort of that archetype of the house is a symbol for our psyche, right? This is where we live inside of our heads. This is the four walls of our own thinking. And so the way that I'm thinking about this problem is old. I've outlived the way that I'm trying to deal with this problem, and the structure that I've created for my life is no longer effective. It's falling apart. And so there's no protection from this house. It's supposed to be a fertile place for me to grow. I'm avoiding my problems, and I'm doing that because I feel powerless to make a change to them. Is that like resonating with what was going on at that time? I mean, could you share?
It actually really did.
Yeah. What literal situation was taking place?
Moving into a new role at a job that I was really enjoying, and just like, and actually like moving up. So I was growing and it was positive. It was all good. I had so much support, but I overthink absolutely everything. And the way that
man, you're in good company.
And I was actually pretty hard on myself when I was in that role. And that's when I was starting to have these dreams.
That makes sense. What do you think it was about this new role that caused so much overthinking? Maybe I'll say a little bit more about that. Oftentimes, oh gosh, how far should I go back? Okay, so let's start here. a lot of mental health problems that a person experiences come from the disparity, or the difference between expectation and reality. And I make this hand gesture with my clients all the time, right? Here's what I'm expecting to happen, and here's the truth of what's happening. And the further apart that these two things are, the greater the mental, emotional pathology, like issues. This gap could be the intensity of anxiety. It could be the intensity of depression, whatever it is. And so I really do view my role as a therapist as one that's supposed to help bring those two back into alignment so that they're the same. My expectations should match reality, because then you see situations like you're describing, and oh my gosh, I mean, Carmen, you're in such great company with all the overthinkers. I mean, who follow this channel and are presently sitting in this chair. Uh, the overthinking is the brain's way of trying to bridge that gap. It's like, I want this to be the reality, but this is the true reality. If I just think hard enough, I can move it over here. It's not true, oftentimes. I would imagine that might have been some feelings of imposter syndrome or wanting to do the role perfectly, but you're new to the role. So how could you? That's just my assumption. I'm not a mind reader. I'm just a dream interpreter. Is that what you were experiencing, or how would you tweak my words to make it accurate to your experience of that job?
That was actually exactly what I was experiencing. I wanted to be perfect and good at it right away, and I wasn't giving myself that time that I needed. And I was being very hard on myself for both not giving myself the time that I needed and then not being perfect at the same time. And I was also afraid to make mistakes in this world as well.
Yeah. Growing plants is messy. When you plant a seed and then nurture it and water it and try and help it grow, there's usually a good amount of shit that has to go into the soil in order to make it fertile for that growth. And those are the mistakes. Like, it's such a good metaphor, like growth and plants, because we are, we're these living beings, just like plants are living beings. And so giving yourself permission and license to make mistakes is important, but sometimes we're so slow and hesitant to allow ourselves to make those mistakes. And so the difficult truth, Carmen, is most people don't like to hear it, but all parts of the dream represent parts of ourselves. Even my dreams. There's some things I wish that weren't a part of me, but I think I learned through my dreams to appreciate them. And so, as I think about probably the symbol that you most want to interpret of who is trapping me? Who's running away? It's the truth is it's probably you. And, if we're honest about it, Carmen, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but if we're honest about it, I think there is a certain level of enjoyment that us overthinkers get by torturing ourselves with overthinking, because we think and we believe deep in our heart that by torturing ourselves with overthinking, it's going to make us into a better person. But I believe that it seldom does. Do you think that those people who were chasing you were you?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I didn't know any of I didn't recognize any of the people, and they always seemed like bad guys, like criminal.
That makes sense. This is so perfect, Carmen. I appreciate you being so honest. All of the different symbols that I've said, your eyes have lit up and you've resonated with very deeply and immediately. And then we got to the bad guys, and I gave a potential interpretation based on your story, and your eyes didn't light up the same way. You're like, I don't know. I guess it could be me, Jesse. You're the professional, so I appreciate that. But I love it when people correct me and tell me I'm wrong. That helps us get closer to the truth, because again, it's very different than the spiritual community. I'm not a mind reader. It's I'm just here to help you explore. I'm a guide, perhaps. And so that's great. There's a hesitation there of, it could be me, but I'm not sure. And so I think that shows, if you could, let's go a little bit deeper on that piece of the symbol. Maybe it's me and my self-criticism, because certainly it fits with the storyline. But let me add this to it because you kind of got to it even before I did. It was on my agenda. We learn to be critical and overthink uh, from our experiences. I don't think that anybody grows up being naturally an overthinker or self-critical. I mean, I've got a 2-year old back at home, and anybody who's had the experience of like meeting with or playing with a little kid, they don't overthink, they just play. And I think that's how we all naturally come into this world. Just, we want to play and enjoy the life that we have to live. It's only through our experiences, usually with other relationships, that we develop this habit of overthinking and being self-critical, being so harsh on ourselves, even to a torturous level. Gosh, I can personally resonate with that. And so there's a couple things. First, it may be you, and it certainly is you because it's the dream, but it may be a part of yourself that, well, we would call the shadow. And the shadow is this idea of, as I'm looking at you and as you're looking at me, I've got this setup here and there's a light that's shining on my face. You can see the shadow, right? And so this side of my face has the light on it, and this side of my face does not. I'm choosing to illuminate this part, which logically means that there's another part of me that is hidden, that is not in the light. And we do that. We show certain parts of who we are as a human to our friends and our relationships, our colleagues, our coworkers, but there's a whole other part that's hidden behind it. And so sometimes we put on this mask, we put on this show, this archetype or persona, however you want to call it, that we share with the rest of the world. And sometimes we forget to ever take it off or explore those darker parts of ourselves. And that experience can get so intense that we forget or don't even recognize the parts of ourselves that show up in our dream because we're so hesitant to accept them. They're parts of ourselves that we don't like. They're parts of ourselves that we sort of cut off. I think about little kids growing up, and some parent or teacher criticizes them and says, you're never going to go to college. Look at your grades in high school. You'll never make it, the rest of the world. So what does that person do? They say, I'm not smart. So I take the intellectual part of myself, the smart identity, and I cut it off and I throw it behind me as my shadow. And so I never think of myself as a smart person because once upon a time that teacher told me, you're too dumb to make it into college. And that's a very common story. And so then when the smart part of me shows up and I do something intelligent, I'm like, that wasn't me. I don't know that part of myself. I cut it off. I was told that wasn't me. But Carmen, let's take it even a little bit deeper. We learn those things from relationships. And so part of it is your voice, but you're also right when you say, Jesse, it's not me. That doesn't resonate. Because the truth is, I would imagine you learned that from somebody else's voice, probably a very long time ago, that you need to be perfect. You need to work really hard. You need to do things right and not make mistakes. And I see you nodding your head, and I wonder if you're thinking of a person, and maybe I'd love for you to share, but if you need to keep it general, that's okay too. But who is that that's showing up in your dream? Who taught you
I
that?
want to say that it could be a parent, because like
That would
everything you
make a lot
just
of
said
sense.
was actually resonated a lot because like I had a
Mm,
really hard time when I was a child in school, um, and my mom and I would spend
yeah.
hours and hours doing my homework, just trying to get through it,
Mm,
and I struggled. But she was there and she supported me and she got me through it. And she never said that I had to be perfect, but she always pushed me to get through it and keep going.
mm. Yeah. So sometimes those things we learn to believe about ourselves aren't said verbally, um, but they still leave us with a suggestion about who we are. So let's do something interesting. Um, if you think about this dream, and this may be difficult, but I want you to imagine yourself as the individuals who are kidnapping you. Imagine yourself in their shoes. If you got to close your eyes to do it, whatever, to get into that like character. What are they thinking? What are they crafting? Is it just pure enjoyment, or do they have you hostage for some reason? Are they going to put you to work doing something, or is it just because they're enjoying this process of causing you pain? What do you imagine is going in their
I
minds?
imagine that it's the enjoyment that they're getting because they're always just saying things
Hmm.
like, this is going to happen, whether you like this or not. This is what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to be. And there's nothing changing it. So I think they're there just for the enjoyment, just for the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So if that's true, let me ask you this question. And again, don't just tell me yes because I'm me. Like really sit with it for a minute. Is it true that when you were working so hard with your mom, those were some of the times that you got to spend the most time with your mother and feel the most connected with her? And was it also true that perhaps by working so hard, people would see how hard that you were working and they would treat you differently? If they saw you out and about playing, but they knew your grades were D's and C's, they would be like, look at her, she's goofing off. She should be studying. Look at her grades. And so there was never space for your enjoyment. It was by working so hard and being tormented that people related to you in a more positive way.
Hmm, I'm not sure.
Hmm. Yeah. Tell me more about the hesitation. This is great.
Um, well, when it comes to spending time with my mom, like we've spent lots of time together. And she was always like really
Okay. Good.
supportive and like would push me in a positive way to get through things, right?
Hmm.
But I guess like we never really did too many fun things together in positive ways. I'm hesitant to say it because I know she's gonna
Hmm.
watch
Okay. It
this
was.
and be like, hey, we did fun things together.
Oh, you did. You did. Yeah. It's just not a criticism of mom. And a lot of people will be hesitant to say some of those things. Even my mother and I have had to have conversations because I'll share stuff about my upbringing, and then I got to go talk with my mom about it. And I was like, listen, mom, wait. It is the case that every person has their experience. You know, you could be a perfect parent, and that child could still grow up with their own opinions about what happened. So it's not a criticism of mom. It's a searching and an exploration of your personal experience of some of those things. And so if we focus just on your experience, then maybe that does resonate, or would you add something?
um, I don't know.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Do you feel like there is something to add? You're just not sure what it is? Or is it like, no, that sounds about right?
Um, honestly, I'm like drawing a blank about it.
Hmm. Good. That
Okay.
could be a good sign. Oftentimes the brain, yeah, no, it's good. Oftentimes the brain will draw like a blank when it's like, I don't have a connection with this. Like, well, to use an exaggerated example, this is a great, sort of metaphor for trauma where sometimes like trauma is so bad that the brain will kind of dissociate and cover it over. Now, I'm not saying your childhood was traumatic. I'm not trying to invent that, but I'm just saying like, oh, this concept that we're trying to explore, um, I don't have a lot of emotions about it. Like clearly the emotions from the dream are intense, but then when we're in this conscious state, it's like I'm trying to relate with these bad guys, but that connection with this character is so tense. I don't even know where to start on that journey of connecting with that character that's inside of my mind. And so to me that's like, well, it could be an indication that there's something to explore there. And a little bit of it is I'm just getting to meet you and learn about you now. So I'm trying to intuit some of the spaces in between. But I would imagine there's more to explore there. But maybe on a grander level, I work really hard and I don't allow myself to make mistakes as a way to kind of protect myself from perhaps disappointing others and letting people down in this new role. At that level,
Yeah.
are you connecting? Yeah. The sparkle in your eyes came back. So I can tell, like, okay, that's it. So, if we were to kind of continue, like, meet again next week and continue, dream therapy stuff together, I would want to explore more of that shadow side of yourself because it's so far disconnected. And so that's a great indication of like, ooh, good. That's the path we need to follow. But there's a last piece, isn't there, Carmen? The last piece is you got shot.
And I didn't die, but I got that burst.
And you didn't
burst
die.
of energy or sensation, like in real life while I was sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Now, there could be some physical stuff going on. I don't know what your health situation is, but sometimes when we experience physical things in our body, it can be related to health, right? Like people who have sleep apnea will have dreams about drowning because they can't breathe while they sleep. And so their mind interprets it like, oh, we can't breathe. We must be drowning in the lake. And so it kind of interprets it. You were getting shot. And so sometimes people who like get poked, in their dreams, like maybe they're sleeping with a partner and they get an elbow, right? They like have a dream about getting stabbed in the rib cage, but it's because their bed partner elbowed them in the ribs on accident. So there could be some of this, but since the rest of the dream was so emotional, I'm more prone to think it was an emotional thing. So let's talk about the symbol of being shot. In dreams, whoever has the gun has the power. It's a symbol of power and control. This is a weapon of domination in some ways. And so this shadow part has the power in this situation. It is exerting control over you, which is something that we know from psychology. The parts of ourselves that we disown actually tend to have the most control over us. A great example of this is individuals who have narcissistic personality disorder will often think of themselves as empaths, and they will get very upset and frustrated with others who have narcissistic personality because if they were honest with themselves, there are dark parts of them that need some care and love and attention. But because they're so disowned, I can't see them in myself, but I can see them in others, and they really make me upset. Right? And so I think about this gun, it's got this control. There's a part of myself that I'm pushing down. So in my subconscious, when my critical mind that's doing all the overthinking turns off, those powerful parts of who I am kind of come back to the surface, and they're the one holding the power. And then they shoot me. I would imagine that those mistake parts of you, those like aggressive parts of you, and they're in everybody. The aggressive parts, the primal parts, the mistake parts, the I don't care what the consequences are. I just want to do what I like. They want to get rid of this version of yourself that is always like repressing them. It's so frustrating to like have that childlike wonder and awe and enjoyment, but to be forced into I just have to do my job and I have to be perfect. I can't make mistakes. It's hard. And so they sort of take revenge is maybe too strong a word, but they sort of take revenge while you sleep. But here's the crazy thing. You didn't die. And so it's this symbol of here's this new information coming into my life. I'm being shot. It's like a shock of new information. I'm in this new role and I'm realizing I got some stuff to work on. This is uncomfortable for me. And those dark parts that just want to run free don't like that I have to be so attentive and so accurate and specific with the work that I'm doing. They sort of resent this other part of my identity. But the truth is, and this is the beautiful thing about dreams and humans, there's no part of yourself that will ever be lost. And so there's this internal conflict and war between the shadow me and the perfectionist me. And they're always fighting inside of me. And what really needs to happen is they need to be friends. But I may just not know the way to do that yet. That part seems to have you shaking your head and smiling. Is there something you want to add to that?
That it just makes sense. It just resonates that the two parts should be getting along. But yeah. Maybe I don't want to.
Oftentimes when I talk, Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like oftentimes when I speak with people about their dreams, the reason that they struggle to integrate these parts and there is this internal conflict is I don't know how to appreciate those parts of me. I know how to appreciate the working hard. People are very easy to tell you, like, oh, like, look how hard you work. Easy for others to appreciate, but no one's ever appreciated my shadows. And so I don't know how to appreciate my shadows because I've never seen what value they bring to me. Um, and I really wonder if you took some time in future dreams to like get to know those shadow parts. Almost like, the way that you could do this would be to set intention as you go to sleep. Next time that I'm kidnapped and I have them, I want to really look at them. And I want to tell them, I know you're tying me up right now, but I just want you to know I love you too. Even though you may feel like you're not worthy of it, like I care about you too. And you got to do whatever you got to do. Great thing is it's a dream. I can't actually be hurt in a dream. It's all pretend anyway. But I want to learn to know you and those parts of ourselves. So the cool thing is as much as they may not like you and you may not like them, there's no part of you that can ever be destroyed. And that should bring some confidence. Like you're resilient, and the mind is resilient in that way. That's what I think. So kind of coming through the whole thing, to me, as I listen to your dream, that would seem to me it's relating to.
Mhm.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
That sounds about right. I feel good about that.
Yeah. Okay, we're resonating. There should be this, when you get to the right interpretation of a dream, there should be this feeling
This
of like,
makes sense.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, shit, that's me. Okay, but before we can end, I don't believe that dreams ever share information with us without some kind of goal. Right? There's some kind of change that I would imagine your dream is trying to teach you about, that it wants you to make. It wants you to take some action in the following day. So now that we understand what it is, what do you think it is that your dream wants you to change about your life?
I think my dreams want me to be more present with myself and like appreciate where I could go if I do make those mistakes. And if I do move forward, that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. And maybe there's room to grow on the farm
Definitely.
rather than just hiding, running, and chasing.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Carmen, is there anything about this dream that's left unsettled for you? Because I think that's a beautiful conclusion to come to, and I agree with you. I think that is what your mind's trying to say. Is there anything else left
I
unanswered?
don't think so. I think you like cleared it up, like did it justice.
Good. I'm glad. Good. I'm glad. I do hope it helps. And I think you may have even had some other dreams, but I wanted to take the time to really explore this one because it was such a beautiful one. The symbols were so raw, so real, that I want to take the time to go through it. I appreciate you sharing, Carmen.
Thank you for
Thanks for
having
coming
me.
on. Maybe we'll have to have you come back and share some of the other ones.
That would
It could
be
be
pretty
cool.
awesome.
It could be cool. Yeah. Well, listen, before we wrap up today's episode, I just want to give a quick shout out to Julie at Empowering Me, who did your pre-show interview and was helping kind of coordinate and schedule some stuff. Julie's got an amazing channel where she helps individuals share their story and feel empowered as they recover from trauma. And she's got a beautiful community that she supports and helps people kind of find their voice after kind of recovering from trauma. So please, she's a big help to the show. If you see her links down in the description below, definitely go give her a follow and see the amazing content that she's creating. And if you have a dream that you want to talk about and meet with me, the application's in the description. Just send an application in. I'd love to have you on. And just like Carmen here, get some answers as to what your mind is trying to tell you while you sleep. Carmen, thank you again. And I can't wait to see everybody in the next episode. Until then, you're welcome. Bye.